Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Victor Singingeagle. No, wait, no, wrong place. This is Indiana. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm at an assessment conference. And I sneaked out of one of the breakout sessions so I can share some awesome indigenous intellect with you right now. Are you ready? Let's get started, shall we? When we last spoke, I promised I was going to torture you with some more discussion of characterization. And maybe we can figure out how it's related to native literature, or how can we apply it. By the way, 58 days till Christmas. Yay! Look at my hair. Oh, I look terrible. Oh man, maybe I should just shave it all off. It's all turning white and falling out. Never mind, we gotta focus. Enough about me. Let's talk about you, or the things that you need to know for this class. Are you ready? Let's get started. So, this time I'm going to share with you the Cherokee author Thomas King. Cherokee, German, and Greek. This is on page, well, it starts on page, I just lost my page. Sorry about that, you guys. Page 62. You'll never believe what happened is always a great way to start. This is in our book, Read, Listen, Tell. Page 62, but I'm going to jump through the story and go straight to page 68. And we're going to read a story about a woman who fell from the sky, and we're going to relate it to the discussion I gave you earlier about characterization. So let's look at it really quick. When we last met, we were discussing flat characters, right? And I was saying that a flat character is basically more of an idea that is expressed as a character, and the person really doesn't have much of a personality in fiction or poetry or drama, whatever it is that is being written. Another term for it is a two-dimensional character. Again, it's more of a embodiment of an idea. You won't really see what the person looks like or how the person sounds when he or she talks, any of that. We're just going to say Anakatajug first started off as a cloud, then he became a caribou, and then he became a wolf, and then he became a seal, and then he became a human being, and how he learned how to become each one of those, right? We did that. Okay, Now, there's another one that is called, well, some people say round character. I guess we could say round character. It's almost the opposite of a flat character in that a round character, you can see the person, he or she. You can sit in his or her, or walk in his or her shoes or moccasins. You can feel for that character. Sometimes they call it a sympathetic character. I might say these two are similar, but a sympathetic character is a subset of a round character. So some round characters you don't really feel for, but a sympathetic character is one that you really do feel for. You can really see through that person's eyes and feel what that person is feeling. I don't know, maybe Harry and Hermione Potter, and even Ron Weasley. You can feel for them. You care about those characters. When you start caring for the characters that you're reading about, they become sympathetic characters. I'm losing my voice. Too much yakking. A dynamic character can also be a type of a round character in that the dynamic character changes. Maybe Anakatajug is a flat dynamic character because he keeps changing. Does he not? Of course he does. The opposite of a dynamic character is a static character. Of course, you know, a static character is a person in a work of fiction or whatever that never really changes, just stays the same. And we also have a foil character, sometimes known as an antagonist. This is usually the person in the novel, in the story, in the play, in the poem, who is in opposition to the protagonist, the main character, the hero, whatever you want to call him. This person is set up in opposition to the character that you're looking at, you're following. And of course, last but not least, is the stock character. I believe Aristotle wrote about stock characters. Pretty much a stock character is similar to a flat, we almost come in a big circle here, similar to a flat character or a two-dimensional character, in that a stock character is pretty much a stereotype. So if you want to talk about a stereotypical Indian nerd, he would have big, thick glasses that would sit on his face crooked. Maybe he'd have long braids, and he'd say, "Hey, Victor," all the time, and tell lots of annoying stories. Or another flat character might be the typical bully in high school. And we all can see him. We close our eyes, and we can all imagine the high school bully. Big, sports playing, boneheaded, but mean, right? Okay, there's a bunch of them. The busybody, nosy old lady who's always getting in everybody else's business and being a Karen, as they say nowadays. That's a type of a character that might become a stock character as well. We have the, the Irish policeman who stands on the street corner swinging his billy club and whatever. You know, there's a bunch of them. And it's sometimes fun to use them in your own writing. If you're a creative writer and you're just going through files, how am I going to do this, write this story, or how am I going to write my play, my poem, my short story, whatever it is. And sometimes you reach into the files of stock characters, and there's a whole bunch of them. Like I said, Aristotle, I believe it was Aristotle, might be in poetics. It could be another. I'll have to look it up for you next time. But he's got a whole card catalog full of them. Card catalog. Boy, I'm showing my age there. Never mind. I'm going off on too far, and I'm just yakking away too much. Now, I'm going to refer you again. Read, listen, tell. Page 68. And I'm going to read for you. You ready? Let's move closer to the screen, shall we? There we go. I should actually sit by the fire over there in the other room, but there's a whole bunch of people over there, and I don't want to disturb them with my big mouth. All right. Middle of page 68. So you have to be careful with the stories you tell. And you have to watch out for the stories that you are told. But if I ever get to Pluto, that's how I would like to begin. With a story. Maybe I'd tell the inhabitants of Pluto one of the stories I know. Maybe they'd tell me one of theirs. It wouldn't matter who went first, but which story? That's the real question. Personally, I'd want to hear a creation story, a story that recounts how the world was formed, how things came to be. For contained within creation stories are relationships that help to define the nature of the universe and how cultures understand the world in which they exist. As luck would have it, I happen to know a few, but I have a favorite. It's about a woman who fell from the sky. And it goes like this. Back in the beginning of imagination, the world we know as Earth was nothing but water, while above the Earth, somewhere in space, was a larger, more ancient world. And on that world was a woman. a crazy woman. Well, she wasn't exactly crazy. She was more nosy, curious. The kind of curious that doesn't give up. The kind that follows you around. Now, we all know that being curious is healthy, but being curious can get you into trouble. Don't be too curious, the birds told her. Okay, she said, I won't. But you know what? That's right. She kept on being curious. One day, while she was bathing in the river, she happened to look at her feet and discovered that she had 5 toes on each foot. 1 big and 4 smaller ones. They had been there all along, of course, but now that the woman noticed them for the first time, she wondered why she had 5 toes instead of 3 or 8. And she wondered if more toes were better than fewer toes. So she asked her toes, "Hey," she said, "how come there are only 5 of you?"
You're being curious again,
said her toes. Another day, the woman was walking through the forest and found a moose relaxing in the shade by a lake. "Hello," said the moose. "Aren't you that nosy woman?" "Yes, I am," said the woman. "And I want to know, what I want to know is why you are so much larger than me." "That's easy," said the moose. And he walked into the lake and disappeared. Don't you love cryptic stories? I certainly do. Now, before we go any further, we should give this woman a name so we don't have to keep calling her the woman. How about Blanche? Catherine? Thelma? Okay, I know I'm expressing an opinion that can be embarrassing. So let's do it the way we always do it and let someone else make the decision for us. Someone we trust. Someone who will promise to lower taxes. Someone like me. I say we call her Charm. Don't worry, we can change it later on if we want to. So one day, the woman we've decided to call Charm went looking for something good to eat. She looked at the fish, but she was not in the mood for fish. She looked at the rabbit, but she didn't feel like eating rabbit either. "I got this craving," said Charm.
What kind of craving?
Said Fish. "I want to eat something, but I don't know what it is."
Maybe you're pregnant,
said Rabbit.
Whenever I get pregnant, I get cravings.
Said Charm. Maybe I am. And you know what? She was. What you need, Fish and Rabbit told Charm, is some red fern root. Red fern foot. Yes, said Charm, that sounds delicious. What is it?
It's a root, said Fish, and it only grows under the oldest trees, and it's the perfect thing for pregnant humans.
Now you're probably thinking that this is getting pretty silly. What with chatty fish and friendly rabbits, with moose disappearing into lakes and talking toes. And you're probably wondering how in the world I expect you to believe all this. Given the fact that we live in a predominantly scientific, capitalistic, Judeo-Christian world governed by physical laws, economic imperatives, and spiritual precepts. Is that what you're thinking? It's okay, you won't hurt my feelings. So Charm went looking for some red fern foot. She dug around this tree and she dug around that tree, but she couldn't find any. Finally, she came to the oldest tree in the forest and she began digging around its base. By now, she was very hungry. And she was very keen on some red fern foot, so she really got into the digging. and before long she had dug a rather deep hole.
Don't dig too deep,
Badger told her. Mind your own business, Charm told him.
Okay, said Badger, but don't blame me if you make a mistake.
You can probably guess what happened. That's right. Charm dug right through to the other side of the world. That's curious, said Charm, and she stuck her head into the hole so she could get a better view. That's very curious, she said again, and she stuck her head even farther into the hole. Sometimes when I tell this story to children, I slow it down and have Charm stick her head into that hole by degrees. But most of you are adults and have already figured out that Charm is going to stick her head into that hole so far that she's either going to get stuck or she's going to fall through. And sure enough, she fell through, right through that hole and into the sky. Uh-oh, Charm thought to herself. That wasn't too smart. But she couldn't do much about it now, and she began to tumble through the sky, began to fall and fall and fall, spinning and turning, floating through the vast expanse of space. And off in the distance, just on the edge of sight, was a small blue dot floating in the heavens. And as Charm tumbled down through the black sky, the dot got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I lost my space. Oh, here it is. This is the bottom of page 70. You've probably figured this part out too. But just so there's no question, this blue dot is the Earth. Well, sort of. It's the Earth when it was young, when there was nothing but water, when it was simply a water world. And Charm was heading right for it. In the meantime, on this water world on Earth, a bunch of water animals were swimming and floating around and diving and talking about how much fun water is. Water, water, water. I should use a duck voice. Water, water. Nope, that doesn't.
Quack, quack.
I don't know.
Water, water, water,
Said the ducks.
there's nothing like water.
Yes, said the muskrats.
We certainly like being wet.
It's even better when you're underwater, said the sunfish. Try jumping into it, said the dolphins. And just as the dolphins said this, they looked up into the sky. Uh-oh, said the dolphins, and everyone looked up into the sky just in time to see Charm falling toward them. And as she came around the moon, the water animals were suddenly faced with 4 variables: mass, velocity, compression, and displacement, and with 2 problems. The ducks, who have great eyesight, could see that Charm weighed in at about 150 pounds, and the beavers, who have a head for physics and math, knew that she was coming in fast, accelerating at 32 feet per second, to be precise, give or take a little for drag and atmospheric friction. And the whales knew that from many years of study that water does not compress, while the dolphins could tell anyone who asked, while it won't compress, water will displace. Which brought the animals to the first of 2 problems. If Charm hit the water at full speed, it was going to create one very large tidal wave and ruin everyone's day. So quick as they could, all the water birds flew up and formed a net with their bodies, and Charm came streaking down. As she came streaking down, the birds caught her, broke her fall, and brought her gently to the surface of the water, just in time to deal with the second of the 2 problems: where to put her. They could just dump her in the water, but it didn't take a pelican to see that Charm was not a water creature. "Can you swim?" asked the sharks. "Not very well," said Charm. How about holding your breath for a long time? Asked the seahorses. Maybe for a minute or two, said Charm. Floating? Said the seals. Can you float? I don't know, said Charm. I never really tried floating.
So what are we going to do with you?
Said the lobsters.
Hurry up,
Said the birds, flapping their wings as hard as they could. Perhaps you could put me on something large and flat, Charm told the water animals. Well, as it turns out, the only place in this water that was large and flat was the back of the turtle. I'm going to stop it right there because I'm going to stand here or sit here and read. It's already 20 minutes and 44 seconds, but we can already see that this woman, Charm, could very well be a round character, or as we read, we can start to feel for her a little bit, or we can kind of see what's going on. Nosy woman who's not exactly crazy, but she's just curious like a little kid. Remember what I told you about indigenous didactic, I forgot how to say it, narrative distancing. That's it, indigenous didactic narrative distancing. And how, sometimes we're told, don't be too curious or nosy, or in the case of Charm, the falling woman who appears in multiple native stories. Sometimes, like in my tribe, she is the wife of the chief's son, or the sun chief. And the Sun Chief doesn't treat her very well, and she escapes from him. You know that story. I'm going to sit up here and start rehashing the plot. But we see the same woman appear over and over. I believe even the Dakotas have a story about her. And down south, the Kiowas, maybe the Cheyenne, up north, the Blackfeet. There's a whole bunch of stories. This is called the Earth Diver story, by the way. Sometimes a woman is involved and sometimes a woman isn't. Sometimes a woman is completely absent from the story, and it's the creator who's sitting there thinking, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna make dry land? And his spirit hovers over the water, and he encounters some ducks and some other animals, and they all get together and they pull dirt or mud from the bottom of the ocean, and they bring it up and stick it on a turtle. So yeah, lots of variants of this story. Again, if we circle back to the idea of characterization, we could say that this is a round character. Sure, Charm, we can see her personality coming clear the more we read, can we not? All right, that's 23 minutes and 10 seconds of me yakking and reading. We're going to stop it there. We don't really have a foil antagonist character yet. So we'll stop it there. And again, I thank you very much for your patience. And I will post this on e-learning, YouTube first, and e-learning. Make sure that you get all your classmates to watch it, because we got so much catching up to do. Thank you so much for being so patient. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.